Yes, Dayo, good to have you here, bro. Thank you so much for, picking up the phone and saying, yeah, I will be here for this. And so this is obviously chapter 3 of the book, Violence is the Way versus Seek Peace. And I guess before we get into it, it'd be good just to hear just a bit, your background, where are you from, where did you grow up?
Yeah, no, again, thanks, Moses, for bringing me on, and obviously glory to God.
Yes.
Where I'm from, so I was born in Bermondsey, grew up in Bermondsey, lived in Bermondsey for 14 years, and then moved over to my parents moved to Erith when I was around 14.
Yeah.
And then I used to hang around the black parts in that area, so like Tainsmith and such, but Bermondsey's mainly where I'm from,
Where you
where I grew up, yeah.
Nice. And I guess to that, topic of violence being the way, when did violence become almost a value system for you? When did it, become something of earning stripes, of gaining respect? What did that look like in your life growing up?
Yeah, so again, obviously, probably started from a very young age actually. So I remember fighting in primary school and such, and just on the topic of violence, we were violent, but obviously, just let you know that obviously I wasn't the toughest or the baddest guy on the block. I wouldn't even call myself a gangster as per se. Probably like a product of my environment. So even though I appeared to have a heart of a lion, I was very soft. But I remember fighting a lot in primary school, just because obviously we grew up in Bermondsey, and there was like the white boys, so we used to fight them a lot. And then I remember probably in secondary school, probably just getting involved in a lot of like rushing and so on and so forth when you was in groups of people and such. Yeah. A few one-on-ones and such, but it was more just this kind of violent way of living, and obviously because you fight and you get ratings and such, or if you didn't fight, you didn't get ratings.
You didn't get ratings, So that praise and glory.
Do you understand? So if I could slide, if I could get away from fighting where it didn't look like I was sliding, then I'll do that. Yeah. But then if I had to fight, then I would go ahead and fight. Wishing for the best. That makes sense.
No, I know it well. Yeah. So I guess, obviously that's primary school. When did it become more, outside of the institution, on the road, on streets, violence, and what did that look like in your life?
So again, it was more just because of the block I grew up on. The guys that were my friends in the estates, most of them had older brothers and such, which held like big names.
Had weight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for ourselves, it was more or less, trying to use that arrogance that arrogance and trying to use that name to our advantage. So, started like robbing people and such, in our own collective groups. It could be guys from the estate, guys from school. You'd go on robberies, you'd rush people and such. I remember just probably in the park sometimes it was just like do or die. It was unfortunately in the parks, and not to sound like I was always up for it. I have slid from a few.
Of course.
Watching the oldies on the estate, man. And, a lot of them used to, we just kind of loved but idolized what they were doing.
Yeah.
So you'd get involved in that violence, and that was like, as I was growing, that was through secondary school, and then past secondary school and college and such, we started doing fraud and, I remember we attempted to try and build drug lines and such, and, just because of the arrogance and the name that people thought we had or thought I had, I would always get into altercations with random people, or just people that thought I was what I was portraying to be when I really wasn't.
Sure.
You just end up, fighting. And most people you end up fighting were probably like friends and such, to be fair. People that you knew, you always cross paths
enemies,
with.
Maybe. But
there you go. That's why I say the violence actually came in.
No, it's a very good point, even that you made there, just in terms of you generate clout. Do you understand? You generate respect. You generate glory and praise from the man and from the people around you. And it's almost that vicious cycle because you gain it. It's almost like, actually, what do I need to keep on being violent to maintain it so that I can have that respect and that clout that deeply I love. So I guess even on that, when where did that change? Where did the change come? Because obviously violence is the way, seeking peace is what we know of, the truth found in the kingdom of Jesus Christ. How did that change come about? Because that's not easy. That's not easy. So how did that change come about?
So again, it's not easy, but I heard the gospel. So again, I was in university, and in the part in university, I was in Wolverhampton. The reason I was actually there was because of violence. I mentioned that I was on an armed robbery court case. Sounds worse than what it really was. Again, I'm not portraying that I was this guy, because, a lot of people probably say actually this guy wasn't as bad, which I'd probably agree with. But I did get involved in a court case. So mum just, when I got found out guilty, mum said, please go Wolverhampton University, get out of here. So I did. There for a number of years. I wasn't studying, doing anything, probably carrying on the violence. It was a bit easier to get away with violence or fraud or so on, because it's outside of London. But then I heard the gospel. So and that's what it is in its entirety. I heard the gospel. I heard about the resurrection power. Heard about Jesus Christ. And to be honest, if I'm completely honest with you, Moses, it wasn't that stopped it straight away. It was just seeing other young guys that looked like me behaving themselves. If that makes sense.
Yeah. But that's the power. That's the thing. But to your point, it's not, to almost rephrase it, it's not that it was just pure preaching that changed you, but actually you're seeing the truth being modeled before you, and people that look just like you.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Same age and whatnot.
Exactly. So it was copying them at the beginning that probably led me away from the violence. In uni, I because I had a little, I wouldn't say name, but a little ring to it from the stuff that I had done in London and then came back up. And then obviously in uni, it's much, there's no gangsters at uni, by the way, but because there's no thugs in uni, but because you had that image of people were probably a bit more scared or a bit more timid of our group. I used to get into a lot of fights, or just be just quick to fight, quick to I was quick to punch or whatever, so on and so forth. So just having these guys, or looking at them when I committed to going to church, having these guys looking at them and them not having to have this bravado, they had minimal arrogance, it was unapologetically themselves.
Yeah.
That's what kind of led me to, actually, I want to try and copy these guys. I don't actually need to be like that.
Yeah.
I actually don't need to try and make this money or do this blah, 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 blah. So that's what actually initially changed it. But as I grew and understood about the love of Christ, and then I think it was just the conviction of, a lot of people say Jesus died. But, we say that so easy.
Yeah.
He died.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Even to the point where it sounds like he just got shot.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. It was what he went through. I think the closest depiction, which probably doesn't even depict it properly, is the Passion of Christ. But
film.
What he went through, obviously, if you read the Bible in itself, you actually understand that Jesus was naked, he was whipped, he was spat on, he was, crown of thorns. He, think about it, the weight of sin, the whole weight of sin was on his shoulders, and that's what he took. He took the sins of the world. So to actually try and compartmentalize with the human mind of what he went through is probably not as hard, not as easy as we make it seem. But when I fully understood that, it brought shame to me. It brought shame because I started to think of all the things that I had done, all the things that I was involved in, and it was like my eyes just became open. It's like, this is for me actually believing that this happened to Jesus and actually believing that he defeated it as well. Yeah. And then my eyes started to open and I started to realize, oh my gosh, man. Like, even stuff as road rage, Like, why you...
Just the little ounces of violence or anger that stirs up within.
So, to the point where I was actually able to see that there was a spirit on us when we was kids, a demonic spirit, especially in London. I believe there was like a demonic spirit on us where where it allowed us or encouraged us to idolize violence, encouraged us to wanted to be known as violent or wanted to be known as this money maker and such. And it's like I could see that clearly. I could actually almost physically see like this kind of mist upon London, on us as individuals, as like this dark spirit just over us and challenging us, and us being able to, you know, not see that and going with it. But there's where, you know, it changed from
shifted for you.
Exactly.
That's big.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
big. And I guess even as we close out, do you have any, I guess, lasting words? Obviously, it's just me and you here, but imagining, do you know what I mean, a young person listening to this, probably struggling, saying, actually, I'm like Dayo when he was a young boy. Any lasting words for that individual?
Yeah, so obviously I'd always point that individual to Christ, you know, and I'll say, please understand it. Try and understand what we mean by Christ, because a lot of people say Jesus and they kind of get, you know, really religious with it, but it's past that. It's actually understanding or believing in the resurrection power. It's so funny, when you're young, they're always trying to get you to believe in something, right? Believe in a tooth fairy, believe in Father Christmas, you know. But, you know, the substance in what they're saying is about belief, you know. And it's, I'd say, you know, believe in Jesus Christ, like genuinely look for it, research it, try and understand what we're trying to say, believe in that resurrection power, because it will give you faith and it'll allow you to turn away from the things in which you're doing. And just in general, man, you don't need to be that person that you think everybody wants you to be. Just unapologetically be yourself. Like, you know, do what you want to do in terms of who you want to be. The issue with me is I was trying to be what I thought everybody else wanted me to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Trying to come on this fake image of being this rough guy, but really and truly inside, I was as soft as the day was long.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So I say, you know, obviously Jesus and unapologetically be yourself. Don't follow the crowds, man. Yeah, that's probably the best.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, no, wrap it up there, man, bro. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you bringing me on this, and glory to God, man.
Yes.